1, 2, 1, 2. Welcome back to Smack Panda, guys. Episode 5. A lot happening this week, boys. Bit more boxing, bit of Trump. Willie's dad's in the house.
The political expert.
Apparently, that's life at the top.
What's been going on?
Went down to Mollymook for the weekend. Family, mum's 60th birthday, belated.
Yeah, way belated.
Yeah.
When was her birthday?
March, end of March. Yeah.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we had a bit of a collapse at the first hurdle as far as
Well,
the
we had
COVID
somewhere
went.
to stay.
And it was all set. We even had meat in the fridge, and then we can't do it.
Yep.
So over probably a week, it just tapered off that we might be able to, then probably not, and then nah. So this was it. We went and did it.
Still filled with COVID disappointment now. Fucking boxing tournament got called off.
Yeah.
I think yesterday.
That was in Adelaide.
Yeah, man. Big national club tournament. I wake up, see the 17 cases. I'm like, God damn it, it's going to get cancelled. And then by the end of the day, the borders are shut again. I think we had 5. We started with maybe 10 on the list, but we were down to 5 and a couple of the young kids having their first fights. And
it's disappointing for them.
Yeah, it was disappointing, man. I was looking forward to a triple A, to be honest. I haven't been anywhere all year. So.
Yeah.
A few wines and...
Adelaide's a nice town as well.
Yeah, it's cool. It's good for the boxing down there. They got a cool setup at the Polsky Centre. Good atmosphere. It's like really old school. It's got the balconies that surround the ring, and it's cool.
Oh, nice.
Cool setup.
I remember I went down to Port Lincoln
Yeah.
a while ago to watch boxing. It was only amateur, and the place, it was a hall, and it was packed.
Yeah.
There was like a few hundred people in there screaming.
What else is going on?
That's the
down there?
entertainment.
Yeah. There's only a few hundred people live there.
Yeah. It's even that
trouble.
will go and dive with the sharks.
That's where the sharks are. Yeah.
That's where the rest of them ended up.
Still, Trump's situation's still rolling in the
Yeah.
States.
Well, we bring a political expert.
How about that?
Well, the Guardian tells him everything. So, what do you reckon?
Self-labelled.
Where's it going to end up? It's a mystery to most people, most thinking people anyway. But January 20 he'll be out in his ear, pretty much. And
I did hear a mathematician on today. It was on, I don't know, RT or something like that. And he was saying there does seem to be in Minneapolis or something like that, there does seem to be some rather large-scale voting discrepancies in one little area. Well, I don't know if it's true or not. As a mathematician, just looks statistically, it looks a bit funny.
Yeah.
Some of it, whether it's enough to overthrow it.
I think the other problem will be a bit like what happened with Bush when he contested his. That they need some stability. So somebody's going to have to draw the line and say we've got to get back on track. And if they don't, it'll.
Well, Trump will be
haywire.
out because even the Republicans hate Trump now. So which makes me actually kind of like the guy. Not that I like him, but if both sides of politics hate him. Is there something to the guy? Like, and occasionally he says something really intelligent. Well, like he has gone on about the military-industrial complex and all these wars that were going on. He did try and stop the war in Syria and stuff before all the war hawks jumped on him. So he's a quandary. It's a shame he just says stupid shit all the time.
It's the nature of wanting to bat for the underdog now. Cause
it is. I'm an underdog. I'll always go for the underdog. It's just...
No, I think he's just another grifter and from just another canoe. He's in the same river as the rest of them. They're all paddling the same way.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just another.
Yeah.
And one will end up with a hole in the bottom of the canoe. It'll float, and the other one won't. And away they go again. It'll be exactly the same river still.
Yeah.
And it'll be just the same thing down the track. And 4 years' time, they'll be
Everyone will be
all
up in
again.
arms about it. I want this
all
puppet.
again.
I want this one.
Yeah.
The trouble is that the what's left in their wake is rather horrendous, really. There's some serious ructions going on all around the world, and in their own country. It's a shame, but they're on the freaking boat now.
Yeah. Well,
Sorry,
I was just prediction for the next 4 years. Biden gets in. I guarantee he's going to bomb Iran or something. Like the Democrats seem to have changed. I don't know if they ever like this, but they seem to be the war hawks. And the Republicans aren't. Well, Trump definitely wasn't. But Biden, he's going to blow someone up.
the playbook's still in. It's, you know, they both use it pretty regularly, and you know, I think you probably just change the D or the R on the front of it, and it still gets thrown on the table. It doesn't seem to be a lot of willing to change anything much. It's just onward and upward sort of thing. It's plus they've got some major investment in their military complex. They've got some people pushing some pretty hard barriers to keep that stuff working. The last thing they want to do is see somebody say, "No, we're going to walk away from this shit. We're not going to do this anymore."
The theory that it's actually a Keynesian way of putting money into the economy without having the public have any say on that money. So you just put it into the military.
Yeah,
it's like everything, all these computers, these cameras, and all that. They were actually all funded by the American taxpayer through the US military. So your phone, you know, there's this whole thing about capitalism. Look, it gave us these phones and computers. It didn't. It was actually American taxpayer that gave us that shit. Then they invented the stuff and gave it to the private companies to sell back to us. Yeah. You know, not the Americans.
Well,
but, that's the idea.
It's a real broad brush of MMT, isn't it? It's the same sort of thing. It's just a generation sort of thing, a way to make money or print money and get it into circulation, as if it was a new economy.
Speaking of which, are we ever going to see one, do you think? A new economy, new way of doing things, new currency?
Yeah. Well, I'm a Bitcoin freak. I was drunk last week. I went on about it, so I'm not going to talk about that this week. So.
Let's get an outsider perspective.
What are your thoughts? Bitcoin.
I'm an eternal cynic. I think there's got to be a lot of progress made yet before we change dramatically. There's you know, you've got half of America still think that the way that Trump was doing it, you know, was fair enough. So how you get around that?
Yeah.
And then the Democrats, they'll come in and do what they always do. So I don't know. I think there's a little bit to go yet before we see any major social changes or even.
Do you think it'll have to be a big crash?
I think so. Yeah, like a proper crash. You know, the last one should have been the wake up, and it wasn't. They managed to float it, and they refunded the process as it was. So it's a little bit to go yet. There's some really good thinkers out there, and people speaking about some you know, good ideas and good processes, but I don't know if it'll ever happen.
Until it falls over a bit, and then there's got to be some type of uprising.
Yeah, we've got to be saved by the young.
Yes, the woke are going to save us. Yes. Every generation puts shit on the young, don't they? You know?
Well, yeah.
They'll fucking fix it. They'll mess.
Yeah, but I read a quote many years ago about baseball, and the guy said, the young don't know how to play, they don't understand the game, they've got no capacity to understand the game, they haven't got the passion for the game. And that quote was 1911. Yeah, so it was always the same thing over and over again. You know, it was just.
What is that?
Yeah, it's just
because I do it already. I'm 31.
I catch myself doing it, then I realise, you know, I'm just sounding like every other generation. You know?
Maybe they are getting soft.
Yeah, but is that a bad thing?
Maybe it's like maybe we just have a superiority complex. And
times change. And change is scary. Most people get stuck in their 20s. The best time of their life. That's the way the world should be, you know, because I was having a really good time, and anything that changes that.
Yeah. That's interesting, though, but because, like, from a career point of view, that's how I always viewed, like, my idyllic situation for to be a professional was how I was as an amateur, like being able to train it, like in my 20s in that peak, and how my life was geared, and like I was probably at my most successful, most driven point. Like I always would look back and go, this is how it should be. Like why isn't it not like it was then? But then obviously with time everything changes and evolves, and your priorities change. And you bring kids into the world, and then your view on that kind of your importance changes. Like you love them more than you love you, and so it changes. So you're always looking back on, why isn't it like this in this time? But like, how could it be when you've evolved and you've gone past it? It clicked to me one day. I was like, okay, now
that's why you got to enjoy the moment. It's never going to happen.
Right. You know? Father time wins every time.
Yeah.
Well, boxing. Back to boxing.
Yeah.
big robbery this the weekend Maloney. Just gone. Andrew Maloney went to regain his world title over in Vegas on the Crawford and Brook undercard, and he He schooled shit. His name's just gone out of my head. Who did he box again? Oh, I don't know why it's gone. Franco, that's it. It's, for 2 rounds, he was hurting him, and then the fight got stopped on a closed eye, which was clear as day from a jab. You could see the jab land in the eye socket, and the eye swelled instantly. Yeah, and they ruled it a no contest or a no decision. Right?
So it wasn't a headbutt or anything.
No, but that's what they give it as. Like you can see it throughout. Like it was just a blatant robbery and misuse of power. They even did the so in Vegas they've got the video referee review now, which they've never had in boxing before. They used that. They spent half an hour going over it.
Still robbed him.
And the commentators, everyone watching, all the TV stuff, all the ex-fighters that were commentating were like, it's clear as day. Like, you're just robbing this kid. And they did, the bastards.
Do you think you'll get another chance?
Well, Bob Arum promotes him, and he was blowing up. Yeah, okay. But there's only so much you can do. If the commission's going to make a decision, they're going to make it. Yeah. What was interesting, though, was listening to the other corner. And it's funny, like, they're prepared to lie to themselves enough where they'll convince themselves that they getting the right end of the stick.
Yeah.
Like, it was clear it was a punch. They knew it was a punch. Everybody knew it was a punch that stopped it. So that should be ruled a TKO. They go, no, the referee ruled it as headbutts. It was headbutts. Yeah. What blew me out was that Robert Garcia, as his coach, was okay with that as truth, even though it's not. I was like, how the fuck do you put your head on a bed at night? Like, when you know you lost. Like, the kid come over here, he prepared better this time. He didn't have the issues. He smashed him up for 2 rounds, outboxed him, outmuscled him, and they just took it off him. And you can be okay with it, just because you guys getting away, stealing a victory. It's just like, it's bullshit. I don't know how you live with that on your conscience. Like, at least speak up and go, you know what, we're lucky to get away with the win. But not with the win, with the belt. Because they retain the title in a no contest. But he spent 5 months away from he's got a little baby. Like,
where did he go for that 5 months? Do you know?
Just in training camp, and then they had to go to the States and they have to quarantine when they come home. Maybe it was a period of 5 months between the first. He had the first fight, just lost the title. Come home, quarantine. It was like back into camp. Yeah. Go back over. Second fight, and now go home and quarantine. Maybe that period's 5 months. So,
interesting thing I found out from a friend, quarantine centre of bill, $3,000.
Shit, is that right?
$3,000. Yeah. Like, is that food included? Like, I don't know.
For 2 weeks.
For 2 weeks.
Where do they put you up?
I don't know. Nowhere fancy.
Formula One.
It's called it's called a markup. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a bit weird shit, mate. People were putting up photos of like their toasted sandwiches and stuff. Look like shit.
Yeah. But also, you got the right of return. You're a citizen. So you're allowed to come back to your country, and if they're going to force you to do something, then they should pay for it.
They got to foot the bill,
you know, when you think about it.
I mean, obviously, if you're going out, we can't just like go and travel for tourists per blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
We're back at the
on.
If you're moving home permanently, they shouldn't have to pay for that. What if you can't pay for it?
Yeah.
Well, what do you get?
Yeah, not everyone has $3,000 sitting around. I don't know.
But everything like that is got to be in the contest. That's the problem. That you got to be aware that you've probably been stitched up and you got to contest it.
Yeah,
and that's the it might work out that way, but you never seem to get that stuff as a part of the course.
No,
it's always a contest.
Well, the same as that the Centrelink robo debt.
Yeah.
And people committed suicide.
5 years that went on.
Jesus.
Yeah, 5 years. Three ministers.
Yeah,
and advice that it was not going to work and it wasn't legal, and
it didn't work in England. You know, everywhere it's just ripping people off and making their lives horrible.
So the problem we are in now, I think, with a lot of things is you've got to make a contest. If you don't, then the thing just blows over. There's no nobody will fall back and look after you. You've got to do it yourself.
Of the strongest, really, isn't it? You know? So if you don't have the wherewithal to be able to fight that contest, which
you can't, and probably the robo debt would be a case that some of those people said, no, that's not right. We're going to go further with it, and started that action. But the rest of them some paid it, some took it on the chin, and sadly some people succumbed to their emotions, and it was a tragic end. It's just the way it seems to float now. It's very hard to find somebody who's out the front.
Yeah,
but maybe we're looking from a cynical eye, and we're not into the.
There's probably all roses out there.
Right? You'd hope so.
Yeah,
this is a positive podcast.
This is positive here. What's a positive thing that's happened?
We're doing positive things in the world. We got a number one. We got a number one fan now.
Yeah, that was positive.
What could you want?
Yeah,
he's champion.
He might be our only fan, but we're happy with that. We've made one person's life better. I'm happy. Job done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Catch us next week.
I think we need to get old Bobby back into power.
Yeah.
He's actually released a beer.
Hawke's logo.
Posthumously. He did that really well, didn't he?
He's passed. He's thrown off the mortal coil and gone to other things.
Well, it's funny. He's more well known for drinking a beer than he is in Parliament.
He was there a long time, and he
among the lower class people who don't look at politics.
Like
I've
seen him necking a beer at the cricket. That's literally it.
And he was the world champion, wasn't he?
I remember him as a time when he was the ACTU president as well. So he did some stirring up in them days too.
He was Labor, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Old school, gifted a gab.
Yeah, Rhodes Scholar.
But he did it. It's strange though, because they did introduce the a whole neoliberal capitalism thing, and Keating, which is kind of against what Labour was about anyway. So really, in the 80s, you were screwed if you were in a union or something. That's right. Like young guys were selling you out.
Yeah, well, the gold standard went at that time, and he floated the dollar, and there was a lot of changes, and they're still arguing about them now. But,
I worked all right for a while. I suppose. Wheels only coming off recently.
But I think he got Sinatra out of the country when he said something nasty about the air hostesses, and they wouldn't let him out of the country. They put a strike on, so Hawke had to negotiate with the union so that they'd let him out of the country.
He's 30 cases, boys.
So watch me drink them
in record time.
He's got a bit of a larrikin streak about him, but that was what politics was like at the time as well. It was very much from those two. What would you say, camps? You had the unionists in the Labor Party, and you had the what would you call them, Macquarie Street crowd. For in the other camp, and it was fairly well defined before that, and then it just it's melded now. It's almost indistinguishable of who's who in the zoo.
That's right. We're going to have to start the Smack Panda party, I think, actually. Musicians party. I was thinking because the Hunter and Fishers have a party, and it's strange that people that just like fishing and that get their own political party and they actually get a lot of power. How many fucking guitarists are out there? And we'd even let maybe drummers or bass players, huh?
Hang on. With podcasting, and we've got even a gigantic...
Letting the bass frauds in now.
You need a horn section.
Well, you might let
no drummers though.
No drummers.
No.
Oh,
they're not musicians. They just
part of our army. They're cleaning things up.
The foot soldiers.
What's our policy? One policy. Strings for everyone.
No bass players.
And no jokes about drummers.
No. That's tough.
We'll look at a Hunter S. Thompson quote.
Just
whack that on there. That's how.
Free cocaine for everyone.
Man, he was a dude.
He's deviant.
He had that, did we talk about this before?
Yeah.
That place he had up in, I can't remember where it was.
Is it
that from that doco?
Boulder, Colorado.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think we did talk about that.
You talked about, the doco that you watched.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that was cool. I didn't finish it. I started watching something on Terence Mckenna this week. His language is so complex though, like I struggle to, half the time I'm watching it, I'm really interested and I don't feel like I actually understand what he's saying. And as I'm listening, I'm trying to process, and then an hour's gone by and I don't really know if I'm caught.
Poetry though, like the way that, you know, he's got such a nasally voice.
Yeah, it's
you know, which
quite.
I kind of do. And when I first heard it, people loved him, and I thought, oh, this guy sounds, you know, like a weirdo.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's poetry. I don't get half the shit, but I just like it. Let the words roll over you, you know.
You're better reading it if you can, so you can go back over it. And
yeah.
And it's
I
hard
did
to
really
read,
like him.
put it into context of some sort.
Well, he's like an Irish bard or something, you know.
Okay.
So he has a far out idea about what the mushrooms. When language started, say 50,000 years ago, there was no real reason for it to happen. Suddenly, there was no art, and then 1 year there was art, and all our things happened. And he thinks his theory was the stoned ape theory, that it had to do with psilocybin mushrooms and the cow pats. And the herders were following the cows and that around. They got hungry. Mushrooms came up. They ate the mushrooms, and some of the side effects of mushrooms is glossalia, where you start rolling stuff, seeing colours, rewiring the brain. So, you know.
Just generally tripping out.
Generally tripping out, you know, but what does that mean? You know, like it does things to the head. And I don't know if it's true, but it's an interesting theory, I think.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
On mushrooms.
No, just the answer you gave then.
Well, the best thing about it is all of that's a work in progress. Like, you know, you can go anywhere with it. That's what's the fascinating thing about it. And the next discovery that comes along is going to either reinforce the last one or go on for another track, and that's good too.
It's all good, isn't it?
Yeah,
I just like a new idea, even if it's completely wrong.
For sure, yeah.
But if it makes me think a different way, I'm into it. You know?
And it's fun to research.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Rabbit holes. Well, my rabbit holes have dried up though. I've done,
Yeah.
done so much. I need to find some new weird ideas. If anyone out there is can
Into some weird shit.
some weird shit, nice weird shit, just drop us a line. You know.
Well, you got to do some research on the electric universe, man.
Oh, yeah. I already know heaps about it, but I've got to.
You spat about 30 minutes last week on it.
I did. I went off about it a little bit.
The electric
All the
universe.
physicists out there watching our podcast
yeah.
hate me. But,
It was passion. There was passion.
There was
in that
passion.
one.
was.
it's gotten to the point where I can't even listen to modern scientists. Well, I don't know. It's not that I believe the electric universe is right, but I've seen so much evidence for them being right, actual evidence, you know, that I just can't buy into black holes and there's a billion worlds. Every time an ant farts, there's a new universe. Like, it's fucking bullshit, you know, like, give me a break. You know, go write some science fiction, you fucking losers.
Something like that.
Something like that. And actually, Arlo's soccer coach is a physicist at Wollongong Uni.
Is he?
So, yeah.
So he's getting sat on the bench, surely.
And he's Ukrainian as well. So it should be
Let's
a really
get him
good
on and debate.
Yeah.
Matt, you bastard.
You don't know what you're talking about, you fucking idiot. Well, I admit that, you know. We'll see. Yeah. Maybe we can do a side project with the EU.
No, we'll just chuck him on.
I will chuck him on.
Yeah, fuck it. No rules.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
Yeah. Mark will have to bash him.
I don't know if I'm capable anymore.
He's a pretty fit old bugger.
You might resent it.
Yeah.
Where's music come from in the family? Because boys were
Oh,
telling me you play a bit of trumpet.
yeah, I don't know. My old man, I think he started. He was into jazz, like big band jazz, back in the 40s, from the 40s.
Yeah.
And then he pushed me. I didn't push me. We had a lot of jazz at home and a lot of records and stuff, a lot of brass bands stuff. And then he sort of made sure that we were exposed to it. And then I picked up. I don't know why. I was either going to play bagpipes or a brass instrument.
Yeah.
When I was about 12, and we used to go and see the Australian Army Band would play in parks. Back in the good old days, the council used to contract bands, brass bands, country district bands. Each district had brass bands, you know, like even Berry had one back in the day, back in the 70s. And they used to contract them to play in the rotundas and at the parks and beaches and things. Yeah. So everybody would go on a Sunday or be at a beach on Sunday, and there's a brass band there.
Happening, yeah.
And anyway, I got involved in brass band, and that was sort of where that went. Yeah.
Cool.
And then you do that. You do what I did, what he did.
Yeah.
With my kids when the opportunity arose, you know, was let's
Not really.
Well,
I was asking for a guitar since I was like 4.
yeah, but that's guitar. What are you going to do with a guitar?
No, you won't play it. You won't play it. I ended up buying it
What's
myself.
that Dire Straits song that we were talking
Money
about the
for
other
Nothing?
day? Yeah, Money for Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, interesting fact about that song.
Play the
Do you know
drums.
that, you know that song, Money for Nothing, Checks for Free? I think, who, was it Matt you were telling us?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nate was telling us about the song.
The
How he
guy in the
wrote
record store in the store saying about on the TV about
that's where he got the
that's
lyrics.
how they make the money. You know, you could see the MTV sort of stuff going on the TV. And,
Yes, delivery guy.
Yeah, so this guy's
just
just commenting on what he's saying, and Mark Knopfler's wrote a song out of it.
Wow.
sat down and was quickly writing it out.
He's just writing off all the millionaires.
He made $1 million out of it, and that guy went into oblivion. Never heard of him again. Bugger. Yeah, but then it was a family progression, I suppose. You know, people got involved in music, and
Plus, Mum played.
Mum played the piano, when she was
from a young
younger.
age.
So we're all thinking about it and talking about it, I suppose. And then as they got a bit older, Adam bought a guitar and a little amp and taught himself how to play. And then he picked that up. And then Hayley came along, and she was into everything that was dramatic from the time she was 3. And
Musicals.
And so. She sort of she got into the Performing Arts High School and then went on from there.
What'd Willie do?
He just drifted along. Then his long-haired mates turned up and they played this devil music with crashing, bashing.
Now
stuff.
Rockin' likes it.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything. That's what he's saying.
No, we did all right for a while, but
It was a good band.
It was.
We could never get anything because it was like disco. Sorry, not disco. DJs were just huge at that time.
Yeah.
We couldn't play anywhere.
What years?
2005. No, later.
278, something.
Yeah.
But if you go back to the
Something
60s in Wollongong, there was because there's some guys playing in one of the bands I play in, who were making money Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Saturday at least, around town doing dances. You know, so a small ensemble with some brass piano, a singer, would be able to play. They used to play in the North Gong Surf Life Saving Club. They'd be up at the Diggers. They'd be up at Collegians. They were moving around all over the place. So they work all the time. And then disco come along, and the freaking thing just fell on its ass.
Yeah.
So and they were you had to be good enough to play charts. There was nothing practiced about it. The singer would be from out of town, turn up. Here's my charts. And the piano player would look, righto, and throw the charts to the trumpet player, and the trombone, and the guitarist, and whoever you had there. And away they went. And this guy would get up and sing, and this little band would back them. And so it was something happening around districts, and then disco come in, and the whole lot sort of seemed to have gone.
Fell on its ass.
Yeah. Were they teaching music at school back then?
Not in my high school. We had a brass band with school instruments, but it was all kids from outside of outside of school. They learned outside of school and then come into the.
Oh, okay.
So and back then, this is about 1970. 72, 73 was when the conservatorium at Wollongong started. So up until then, they didn't even have a conservatorium. So a mate of mine from school, he was a trumpet player. He got into the con. Well, it had something to do with the start of the con. But up until then, it was a lot of brass bands sort of influence before that.
Yeah.
From what little I'd been exposed to it, but mostly kids who could play outside of, played in community bands, town bands, all that sort of stuff. Yeah. But back then too, it was you didn't have to buy an instrument. If you went to a brass band, they'd supply you with an instrument.
Okay.
And then you'd get into that collective, into a junior band of sorts. When you got better, that was the feeder to the senior band. Yeah. And the feeder band, band was sort of run by the same conductor. And then into the senior band, you'd go into competitions, and it was a fairly big thing. It was.
Everyone wonders why music these, like, you look at the top 10 and shit music. Yeah. Look how back then they were so
grassroots. I think that's the case for everything. There seems to be so much more community. level stuff. Like, and it seemed to be a push for it to, like, it seemed to be free.
Yeah.
Like, everything was thriving.
Oh, it was. I was paying $4 or something for an hour lesson, something like that. You know, that was going back a long time ago. But yeah, the bandmaster wasn't obviously making cash out of it to sustain himself. It wouldn't have happened. It was just a matter of keeping that band going.
Yeah.
And there was 2 bands in Wollongong, maybe 3. Berry had a band, Nara had a band. Yeah. It virtually come from England, where they'd coal mines and steelworks and all that had a band. You know, so the band would be set up by the company and funded by the company, and the band players would come from the workforce. And then that band would be good enough, and they'd go off and they'd do competitions with other company bands.
Yeah, okay.
And it was in England especially, it was massive. Yeah. And then a lot of them guys would have emigrated over to Australia in the 60s and then brought that with them.
Isn't that a good idea, though, that your work, there's more to your work than just going and doing the job, that there's actually a community to your work as well, you know?
Yeah. Oh, even when I was at the pit, there was guys that were imported to play soccer for the local district because the manager of the mine or people that were involved in the mine. Yep, okay, thanks.
Bobby.
Yeah.
Get a Bobby in ya.
We're encouraged to play and.
No, I remember playing. I worked over in England at this the kitchen for the Barclays Bank. Cheers. And we were playing futsal over there, you know, like indoor soccer, and it was a big deal amongst all the banks, and they all just invented their money, you know, so they were loaded, and we were going all right, my futsal team and that, and they got a Brazilian ringer, and they just gave him a job, and he was like this little ninja guy, and he was just scoring goals left, right, and centre. We made it to the final. I was shit out, so he stuck me in the goal. And but then we came up against one of the other, like HSBC or something, and they bought 4 Brazilians. So 4 Brazilians beats 1 Brazilian. So we got thrashed. I must let 35 goals in or something like that.
Sounds like bloody
fucking awful.
That Bad News Bears with
But don't worry.
Play, but is it that or one
of
them?
Bench warmers?
Yeah. Bench warmers, and they've got the Cuban.
The adult
I'm
Cuban.
18. He's got a full beard. Yeah.
But even the purity of music is tainted by that. You know, the brass band wanted to win the A grade competition, so they'd bring 4 players from Sydney to sit in the top chairs. So the guys who sat there got sort of pushed to the side. So it was definitely happening, even just in a local. You know,
and was there any prize money, or was it pure?
No, it was pure. Just as you got the old silver trophy, and you got the photograph with the handwritten, who's in it, and it actually won me in the band hall. Same thing. Awesome. We won the C grade champions in 1970.
I'll find out.
New South Wales Championship.
I actually prefer. I remember watching a few years ago. I don't watch a lot of AFL, but it's okay. But I was watching. I think it was the Curry League or something, and it was an Aboriginal league in Alice Springs, and it was like, Z grade or something. But God, it was a great game. I actually like lower rung sports. People aren't that fit, and they've really got to try hard. And stuff,
no razzle dazzle.
No razzle dazzle, but there's passion.
Up and down.
It's great stuff.
You'll always see like good scraps with guys that can't fight that well. Because they'll stand in front of each other and they'll just punch.
No defence.
Yeah, there's no technical
It's usually good that they can't fight because they run out of wind pretty quick and then the game starts again.
How's the music scene, like, how did it work when you guys were playing? In terms of, could anyone make any money off it? Or
nah, we made about $10
Nobody
for
ever
about
does.
5 years.
Yeah.
There's no money in it.
What about, I don't know, you just make an assumption that if people are producing music and putting out records and stuff, that they're going to be making a living doing it.
You can make a living. Like your music was like, it was metal. It wasn't black metal, was it? Like it was really technical metal. But there's not a big
market for it.
Maybe especially not in Wollongong or
you had the Oxford
Australia
back then at least, so there wasn't.
We could play there.
At least one or two places.
But even the Oxford at that time, if it was popular, they would have put some resources into it. But they had the guide on when you were playing one time. The bloody guide that was doing the mixing went to sleep.
He was notorious.
The best gigs were actually at the youth centre because you got young kids who hated everyone, and they were like, "Oh my god!" We had like the singer. He always talks about this time. He had 2 kids, hugging his leg. Like, he goes, I was like a god.
This is like the Stones must have felt like.
But we had like 40 kids. It was great.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what the Wiggles felt like.
Great, but but yeah.
But we seen you play Collies, and you wouldn't believe it. They must have 5 security guys there. These guys all come on with their ratty tattoos and everything. Most of the audience were parents. And the security guys look like they're ready for a blue. Like, it's on here. Heavy metal's on. We're going. You know, and it was so like, and the people who really enjoyed it got to the front and did the headbanging and stuff. Yeah. And it was just totally different to what they expected. Yeah.
But it always is with metal. The metal community is a really good community. You know? There aren't really blues. I've been to shitloads of gigs and it's not like that.
No,
it's more off. Isn't that how you first got your nose broken?
I think it could have been. Yeah. That was
metal.
But that was a bouncer anyway. And I was being an idiot, so I deserve to get my nose broken. Sometimes you got to take it.
But getting back to your point about the money and everything, it's surprising how people don't really value art, but value music as well. So there's a lot of people who just won't pay, or just don't want to pay. We're in a reasonably large band, and people think that seem to think that you'll turn up and you'll all drag yourselves out of a Sunday afternoon and play for 2.5 hours for nothing.
It's like you owe them something, I think.
It's just,
that's what
I don't know what it is. It's just strange that, I keep saying it to people. They'll say, they watched Idol or whatever it is, and I'm saying, well, if you want to see how music really is, go to a club. You got somebody standing in front of a microphone, no fallback speaker, amateur musicians behind them. The thing's all really ratty, and they put out a good show. That's working hard and being really good at your job. You know, it's not somewhere where everything's synced in and you've got professional help and everything. You know, go and watch the workers, and you see some really good stuff.
Who knows if Idol, the microphones are portraying what they're actually singing? Like, how many singers get done for dubbing?
Well, you've got real time tuning and all that as well. So
the software these days is amazing.
And then everyone wants to instead of singing and I'll pick on the singers, but instead of singing a sustained note, we've got some arpeggio thing happening where rather than using the
bending over the note.
Well, they're all over the joint, and so instead of somebody with proper strength in their voice and they've got the projection and everything working, and they've held this note. We've got this thing going up and down. Does that say? Well, I don't know.
It's all false.
Well, it's not false, but it's done to sort of manipulate the process, mate.
Yeah, but also the musicians need a good audience, an educated audience. And if all you're hearing on commercial radio is shit, really,
the same.
How's a kid supposed to if they're not surrounded by people if their parents aren't into it and don't have good record collection, how are they actually going to find it? Stumble across good stuff, unless there's a teacher or there's a good political party that's based in music.
But it is there.
I know any aid aren't pumping the good stuff, are they?
Oh, the kids will probably find it anyway, but
it is there. You've only got to go on the edges. It's definitely there. There's some brilliant stuff happening, consistently. So it's not like it's a backwater yet. It's there's definitely some stuff there.
There's some talent out there, and also if you're young and you haven't got kids and stuff, this social media thing it's a boom. You can be your own record company.
The record companies are,
but you don't need them.
They're worried at the moment though.
Yeah,
like how are we going to rape these poor kids?
Well, that's why the record companies set up it's all. Like Australia's Got Talent and all that type of stuff, they're all linked in with record companies. And what the record companies do to these poor bastards who, just want to get famous and live the dream, well, they put them on something called a 360 concert. It was 360 contract, which means, so we're going to get 80% of every interview you ever do, any song you release. Yeah. We're going to loan you $1 million to do your first album at 10% interest. And it'll be for the rest of your life. Anything you ever do, we will have a cut on that. And also,
don't even take him out for dinner first.
That's straight in there.
That's right. There's no
foreplay. That started back in the days of the boy bands and the shopping centre groups where they turn up and they wouldn't get paid. They're promoting their record. Yeah. It's the only one that they've put out. And they're virtually covering the whole thing, getting nothing for it. And then the royalty, somebody else wrote the song, so the royalties are going to somebody else anyway.
Oh, yeah.
So,
most of them were employees, actually.
Yeah.
They were swapping in and out, you know.
It wasn't long ago Metallica got the rights back from their first album.
Yeah.
I remember they released like a press thing about it.
Yeah.
It was like,
Oh,
I think it was 1982 that come out.
Yeah. Well, that's why Prince went all
2020.
weird and didn't bloody use his name and all that type of shit. Refused to release albums. Well, George Michael, the same thing.
That's why Van Morrison's chronically cranky.
Yeah, because they got screwed.
He's just bashing his head against the wall about it all the time. Yeah. But I don't think it's a modern thing. I think the process is much the same. It's just the outcomes have changed. But you go way back to 40s, I suppose. You've got bands trying to make money, and you've got a couple of Negro sort of singers or whatever, and they're not allowed in. So they've been bashing these doors for years, and then they go to Europe and don't have any problem. Yeah. America and I don't know about Australia as such, but it's been it's sort of I get this feeling or the idea that it's a feel good industry. Yeah, but when you talk to people and look at what goes on the edges, it's just as rough as rugby or boxing or whatever.
Yeah. There's the Hunter S. Thompson quote, and he says the music industry is full of prostitutes, murders, and mayhem. There's also a negative side, and it's true, Yeah. But if you're an individual singer-songwriter, guitarist, you can actually probably squeak a living out of it nowadays. You can maybe get $300 or $400 a gig.
Independent.
Independent. You can promote yourself, get a couple of decent photos and that, and just go play. Keep your overheads down. And social media at the moment, advertising is cheap. Like a Facebook promotion might cost you $20 or $30. Yeah. So if you're going to play on Wagga Wagga or something, man, promote the hell out of it.
Just don't swear.
Don't swear, or you won't be able to do that.
For fuck's sake.
Get your ass out or your titties or whatever.
Yeah. But there's
a few guns in it.
It's a double-sided coin, so you can make it work for you, but it's just changed. And it is a job. If you're going to make it work, you need to spend 8-10 hours a day actually promoting, doing the shit. Yeah.
But emotionally and not so much physically, but definitely emotionally, there's value in it. Value in it being able to do it. So it's not all a waste of time.
But I think we undervalue all that stuff. It's such a big part of our lives.
Oh yeah.
Even if you're not a musician, and it's typical with anything with sport. You got something better going on over there, Willie? Or
nah, just making sure.
Just Tinder checks. It does add so much value to our days. Yeah. But we don't. I don't know. It's funny that we're happy to pay for shit, but we're not as prepared to pay for that type of stuff that brings value to us.
Well, I suppose technology's changed though with Spotify and things. Yeah. I used to buy albums, I still buy vinyl albums now. So if I like a band, I'll buy their album on vinyl, because it's a physical product. It's a ceremony when you put it on, and they get the money generally with vinyl because they print it themselves and stuff. Yeah. It's interesting though when there's what do you call disruptive technologies? They normally start with the entertainment industry, and that's CDs came out, and then I don't know if you remember when Napster came out and Metallica, sued them, and Lars became the world's worst human. And
he wanted to buy another island.
He needed some more Basquiat paintings. Anyway, but these disruptive, and so there was Napster, which was like a free pirating thing where you could listen to music for free. But what happened later? iTunes came along. Now Spotify came along. So the pirates always start something, and then the commercial interests come in and jump on the bandwagon and make it legal.
Well, you're an artist with a few. You got an album on iTunes. What?
Yeah.
What are the?
Well, actually, someone bought our album on iTunes, and I think they paid $16 for it.
I've bought it.
You bought it $16, and I think we got $1.60 or something. Yeah. So, and we spent a few thousand doing it and everything like that. And
what's that? 10%.
No, it's 1%. It's pretty low.
Yeah. So he gets all the money. So
iTunes did nothing.
Yeah, and they get everything.
Because that's what you got to do, man. That's how you make the money. Get in between the product and the person that wants the product, and you just fucking you're laughing. And that's what Spotify and that are all showing, that this is the way all society is going to go. People aren't going to own their car. They're not going to own things. It'll all be leased.
What about Spotify? Because you're on there too.
Spotify, every play you get 0.0002 or 0.0002 of a cent. You know, so if you get, I've got another band. There was a band on the label. What they call Husband Wants a Wife. They're a good local band. You know, check them out. And they've got like 30,000 listens or something. And I think I might have given them $20 or something for it. You know, that was pretty good for them.
Yeah,
and that's what they got. You know, like I don't want a cent of it, but what Spotify said is fucking $20 for this amount of listens. So you know.
That's a hard way to...
But you think about the recorded music industry, it only really existed for 100 years. You know, actual records came out, say, 1900, you know, and then it was the first time musicians could make money without performing. And so it was fucking golden era, you know, and then you had Rolling Stones, Led Zeppelin behind you and all that, and they were just rolling in money. But that lasted 100 years until Napster, until Spotify came out. The technology changed, and now it's moved back. Well, now those technologies are not to make money from; they're actually to promote you for your live gigs.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just moved back to what it always was, you know. And the proof's in the pudding. You have to be able to play well live. Yeah, you rock, you know, which is not a bad thing.
Because it's authentic.
It's authentic, you know.
Yeah.
Although there's a lot of people out there using auto tune and shit, so you can get away with not being authentic.
Yeah,
but
that's right.
You still have to put on a decent show.
Yeah. Especially if it's a serious show.
Yeah.
We'll define serious, but yeah. Like well structured music that people get an appreciation of, but you still need to cater for everybody as well. If you're going to make music, you still need people with a critical ear to get something out of it as well. It's no good. Otherwise, we'd be all listening to 1970s pop. Whereas if there's bands out there now that will do some decent stuff, or a lot of bands that'll do some decent stuff, and you can listen right into the depths of it and hear what's going on, hear how it's made up, you know, hear how good some of the players are, all of them. But you know, if you're principally interested in that, I really like percussion and bass, you know, so it's sort of a draw card to get down into that part of it. It's really, really when you hear a good band, it's great. Yeah.
There's still a few out there.
And the other thing with the bigger interest is you get or you used to get the notes on the back of the LP, you know, especially. I got the stuff from some of the old man's records from the 40s.
The tabs are on there?
No, the sleeve notes. So you've got a journalist who writes about the record and describes who does the solos and how the thing was made. You know, and it's a full article virtually.
That's right. The whole thing's
when it was
fact, isn't it? It's a thing.
When it was recorded and who was on each track, and you know, and like I was saying the other day, I played an old Basie, I think it was, and you had that Joe Pass on it, and you were saying that he's a really well-known. Well, on this sleeve, it said that up-and-coming guitarist,
Joe Pass.
Yeah, so it's also a history. You know, when I go back to some of the old sleeves from the 40s, especially. You hear of all the players that you've heard spoken of all them years, especially trumpeters. You go, he played, and Basie and Ellington and all of those big bands had the best players. Like these were the prima donnas at the time.
Really, aren't they?
They were, and
Sets had that, but too.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, they had like the lyrics, and then they
had, that's right. Yeah,
slash solo or whatever. Whoever
and
band it was.
And I think some of these journalists even made a name for themselves. The guys that actually wrote on the back of these wrote these notes, they actually made names for themselves. You know, this guy would be a reviewer, and he's well known. He's written for all these magazines and stuff like that. Yeah, it was a.
There's a few guys on YouTube who've released albums with a guitar version, and they'll send you the tabs with the record, so you can play along to the song. And it's written by the guy who actually wrote it, so it's note for note. It's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah, well, that replaces the old play along records. You used to buy a record without the lead on it, and you know, like a trumpet player, you play the lead. You get the music and the record. And you stick it on your old turntable, away you go and play along. Yeah. The problem was some of them weren't recorded at the correct revolutions, so they're out of tune. So when you try to play them, you couldn't get in tune. It was because it's going a little bit too fast, so it put it up a half a tone or whatever it was.
Put some weights on it.
Yeah.
Slow it down. That's what I think, like that guy with the tabs, that's what people need to do with any business that's starting online, is think outside, how can we monetize what we're doing, you know, and people like what you do, but they might not want to buy a CD because no one has fucking CD players anyway, you know, so how can we help let them help us, if they want to support us in what you're doing. So just take some...
Yeah, kind of like the Smack
Different.
Panda mugs. And, T-shirts.
That's right. This is the only one we have, so if you want to start a bidding war over here.
$700 each.
Stained personally by me.
We'll sweat it in for you. Oh, shit. Have you looked at that? We were talking weeks back about the 70... Oh, what? Sorry, not 70. Maybe it was $70 billion tunnel underwater.
Oh, yeah.
A floating tunnel that it goes across the...
I kind of remember that,
Yeah. I haven't looked at it. I was hoping someone had looked into it so they could tell me about it.
We're going to have to...
research
leave it in the comments.
Sounds
floating
pretty
tunnel sounds really weird.
But the way they break it down, it makes sense.
Okay.
Don't ask
But
me.
you usually imply if something's floating, it could sink.
Yeah, it could sink.
Snap.
Well, it must be really bendable, but how would it get a bendable road? People driving along.
I'm trying to... No, it's it's dead straight.
Wow.
One of the spans goes I think it's maybe 8 or 12 kilometres through the water.
Yeah, okay.
And with no beams. Bizarre. Well, that's
maybe the
design.
water pressure is what
sorry, it's the type of maybe the
type
salt,
of water. Yeah, because it's in Norway or something.
Yeah, it's in
that
Nordic
hard water,
region.
so it never freezes
So it
and
can
it doesn't
only
change.
work there.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's what. Remember, Hitler wanted Norway for that reason, for the hard water.
Yeah.
So he could store all these battleships. And shit.
Yeah.
Build floating tunnels.
Maybe.
Yeah, well,
Nazis back, man.
there will be a documentary on it. Like that five series of that bloke wandering around to that friggin' island they still haven't found anything. I don't know why you do
Which one?
The island or something. There's supposed to be something on it, but there's 4 series, and I've only just seen bits and pieces of it. But they never seem to get anywhere. They just
keep going.
Yeah, they keep going back.
I used to watch the Nat Geo docos when All Star first came out, and we got it. And there was one on Noah's Ark, and I watched it for an hour, and they're wandering around in the desert, and then it just ends, and they're like, this could have been it, but they don't tell you, they're just like, whoop, that's it. That was disappointing.
Have you seen Team Foxcatcher?
No.
I watched that years ago, but about the, what is his name, DuPont?
I've seen the movie,
Yeah, the movie's shit compared to the doco.
Nowhere near what happened, though.
It's about the American wrestling team.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And the death of his name escapes me as usual.
I'll Google
it. Yeah, Schultz. Is it Dave Schultz? Yeah, Dave Schultz. Him and his brother was it Mark? I think Mark Schultz.
Mark was the one that fought in the UFC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Dave was the best wrestler going around in the States, and the American the DuPont family. Oh, what was the main guy's name? Dave.
I can't remember. I'm just...
Richard, was it? Fuck, I don't know. Anyway, the son, he was the son, John DuPont, that's it. John DuPont.
Yeah, Mark and Dave, yeah.
So they're a renowned family in the States. They supplied all the weaponry,
the famous
DuPonts,
DuPonts. Okay, yeah.
Weaponry to the States. And
they were big on getting marijuana made illegal as well. I think.
Yeah, okay.
Illegal from the Reefer Madness days.
Yeah, because they had oil fields or something. Yeah. They wanted to make it out of this, not hemp oil.
Yeah.
So he funds. He's just like this insecure psycho. He's got heaps of mental issues. But he loved sport. He wanted to build Olympic champions. He was never good at anything, but he tried kind of everything. Yeah. It was just after his mum's approval, I think. So he had a cold upbringing. The nannies and stuff pretty much raised him. He was just a lonely kid that wanted friends, really, I think. But he funds the American wrestling team to come and stay with him. And then to get the success brings Mark Schultz in and then Dave Schultz to coach. And he gets obsessed with different members of the team throughout the different periods. Brings these Bulgarian guys in, then has to link somehow to this Bulgarian heritage that he had that he never had. They were French, DuPont, French.
Yeah. Is that whole horse racing angle true? Remember in the movie they were like renowned horse race trainers or
I think
crap?
so. I think so off the top of off my memory, which is clearly pretty
That's
good.
how they'll watch it.
Photographic.
That works.
But yeah, he ends up obsessed with all these different wrestlers, and then as it goes on, he becomes more and more paranoid. He starts doing heaps of cocaine and whatever, and not sleeping anymore. He thinks there's a main house. He has all the wrestlers living in the property on the estate in their own places with their families, and he's given American wrestling a lot of money. So the guys start leaving because of these crazy things that are happening. Like he walked in and pointed a gun at Mark Schultz when he was training, I think. I'm pretty sure.
I don't know, he ends up shooting the brother.
Yeah, but he ends up... Dave lives there with his family and his kids, and he drives around like pointing guns out, and it was just like a normal thing for him to do all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And one day he does it again and gets out of the car and shoots Dave like in front of the kids. And but the biggest thing with it was because he funded all the local police and law enforcement. They took ages to go and they didn't just bust in the house and get him out. They were like negotiating with him to get out of the house. He was so paranoid though. He thought so they've obviously owned this estate for a long time. He thought the trees in the forest were mechanical and going up and down, and he'd stare at the forest for hours and think like something's changed, and there's like all these these underground tunnels built in there. And, it was just a bizarre doco, but really really interesting. Team Foxcatcher, check it out. I'm getting royalties off Netflix. That 35 subscription promotion. But yeah, speaking of docos, that was a good one. And that Icarus as well.
Icarus
that's another real good one.
Have you seen that one, Dad, about the Russian steroid scandal?
You'd enjoy that one, I reckon. Yeah. It's complicated.
Yeah,
he's still on the run now, or dead.
No, I thought he was still in America.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like he's still hiding. So
yeah, his missus is still in Russia.
People are dying. His family, like all the crazy. So the world's heaps more sinister than people want to believe it is.
For sure.
Well, if you view it that way, it kind of is.
As well.
I
mean, there's a lot of good. There's probably the good probably maybe outweighs it. In our world. It does. Depends where you're born, right?
We have to ask Dad about the Australian politics. What's going on? Yeah. He reads up on all the little sinister stuff.
There's plenty of sinister stuff going on.
What is going on here? I haven't seen anything except for all this corona shit.
Yeah, what else is going on?
Really, it's pretty much sort of a bit of a reflection of what's happening in America, I suppose. The spillover, the parliamentary standards, I suppose, are probably the worst thing that's happened. You know, everything's sort of slipped by the way now. It used to be the ministerial responsibility, and ministers would fall on their sword, for their department's failures or indiscretions, and now it's pretty much just put a bit of a wall up and then just talk about something else. The dead skunk on the table sort of ploy works really well these days. Yeah. We end up with a discussion about something that we think is important, and then they'll throw the dead skunk at the table or the look over there sort of thing, and just end up with we've gone off with somebody else.
You noticed that too.
They're using the American election as a distraction.
There is plenty of that, and
all over the place.
Then our erstwhile leader, he sort of gets himself jammed up and disappears for a week, so that sort of tapes it off. I think
who's the leader now, if anyone knows?
ScoMo.
That's Morrison.
No one knows.
As the
get off my lawn.
Be two to call him Scotty for marketing.
Scotty
for marketing.
Oh man, I hated that guy at the start of the year, but I think I said that last one too.
Yeah.
It'd sell you a good car.
No, I think the biggest thing now is there's no real pressure to make sure that you're on some sort of straight and narrow, because there's no outcome, there's no punishment, there's no you end up with the sports rot, you end up just move sideways. It's a real shame, because there's it's setting a bad example for people who aspire to greater things, and for the rest of us, we're just paying shitloads of cash out for nothing, or for bad advice. The land they bought up in for the airport. They paid $30 million or something for a $3 million block. Well, there's another one just come out with the federal government, the same thing, and it's 300% higher. Like, it was a massive. So and
plus they had to spend $50 million there was polluted land, so they had to spend $50 million on top of that to fix the land. Yeah, it's just pure corruption.
That's the shame of it. And the other problem is that you end up with, like the robo-debt stuff, you end up with all that stuff just being swept away. They'll pay the money. It's our money. It's just gone, finished completely. And we move on to something else. Yeah.
And that's the problem with all the information we get now, I think. You're so flooded. There's no time to sit on anything and actually think about it and go, hang on a minute, this is fun. Like, why aren't we addressing that?
We'll throw this at him.
Here's another distraction. Shit, South Australia's got 20 COVID cases.
20?
Fucking
that's nothing.
Relax, there's 300,000 in America.
End of the world.
And we've also got the Sky News Murdoch sort of influence that's becoming more and more prevalent as well. It seems to be. I don't watch it, but it seems to be more and more. They're driving the narration now. It's a bit like Trump. Even if you didn't listen to him, a mainstream would pick up one of his tweets, and then before you know it, the thing's gone off like a bomb. The Sky crowd and some of that sort of narration has become mainstream as well, And there was a classic there just on TV recently where one of the main feed news services in America pulled out of one of Trump's press conferences because what he was saying was not true, the election rigging, and yet on Channel 9 News it stayed.
Yeah, they
stayed on. So no disclosure or anything. So we're sort of you're looking at American commentary and they're pulling it because there's no evidence, and we're looking at it in its entirety. So it's all pretty ratty.
May as well get your news from here.
Yeah,
Smack Panda.
Yeah.
Wow, that's right.
That'll work.
Roving journalist we've got out there.
It's about 3 days old by the time it gets up.
But there is on the other side of that though, you've only got to scratch just a little bit below the surface, and there is a lot of information there that's alternative and well thought out, well structured. So it's not all bad. It's not like it's not all like we're drowning and not waving, sort of thing.
It's just like the narrative that it creates. I think because most people don't fucking look into anything enough to. Well, I don't know. Who am I speaking for? Most people, I don't know most people.
I'm a bit worried that the mainstream is getting so ridiculous that now the David Icke completely hardcore conspiracy thing is getting bigger and bigger, and 10 years we might live in a society where that's normal.
Yeah,
the normal is now flipped and become absolutely fucking bonkers.
It is.
It's kind of getting there, and that's a real worry. Because there are still nuclear weapons and shit on the planet. Yeah. We've got crazy people in charge.
The other thing too I've noticed is that arguments stuff that's not relative gets introduced. There's corruption in Australia, but we're not as bad as the rest of the world. That's not relative to the argument that there's corruption in Australia. But that's the problem. That stuff, I don't know whether it's just because I'm looking at it, but it always crops up. We end up with these things thrown in from the side, and we don't talk about the main article. We talk about what that comparison is, and it's not relative to the argument.
The comparison,
and
not as bad as Zimbabwe.
We're all right.
Have you seen them?
I haven't seen them.
But that's what they're like.
Mugabe's gone.
They got no shoes. He's doing heaps better.
And there was a really good little article written from a bloke, I think from some backwater, I shouldn't say backwater, somewhere like Zimbabwe, and he's saying he put the American election contest in language of somebody who's attacking Zimbabwe, we've got a dictator who doesn't want to leave, we've got the army on the streets, we've got riots,
absolutely.
And when you look at it, it's the same language that America uses or
all
most
around the world.
Use for these desperate countries. And here we are, we're saying exactly the same words and it fits.
Someone did that with it was the Queen's birthday or something, and she was in Buckingham Palace, and they were having a military parade for her and jets over the top, and someone did it as if it was Kim Jong Il in Korea, and if you transport it, it's exactly what we would say about them.
Yeah.
You know, like the language is the same, but we're the goodies, so it's okay.
Yeah.
You know,
it depends where you live, doesn't it? On who's a good guy.
Well, I hope people realise it's like that. There's no correct perspective.
No.
You know? Like,
but it's still not relative to us.
We went down that lane a bit last week.
We did, yeah.
Depends who writes the story on.
Well, well, you get into the 1984 scenario, and you know, there's many quotes and people thinking about those sort of angles, and they're out there to see, and most of them are right.
Like Japan they don't teach World War II to their students. Pretty sure I read that when I went
they
over
don't teach about Manchuria, the rape of
Yeah.
Manchuria and shit. Like they got some
China.
nasty stuff, man. You know.
But that's like even in our education system, like, you don't learn anything really about like the indigenous.
No, that's true. Yeah, they would say the same about that.
Yeah, Aboriginals in Australia. Yeah. It's just one. It's like our narrative, and that's it.
I think it's getting better though. Like,
yes, I think Australia will slowly come to terms with it.
Yeah, it is. It seems to be cropping up a lot more than it ever.
Yeah.
Was.
I think what'll happen there is it'll be polarised like everything. I think you'll have a camp of true believers, and you'll have a camp of total, and there'll be a little bit of fluff floating around the middle, but I think they'll be entrenched, and it is entrenched now. It's fairly much. Some people in the middle who maybe will read and sort of flop one way or the other, but everything else is pretty entrenched, and because there is a lot of information out now about the Aboriginal experience, and you don't have to go far to find it, which is really good. But but that just makes the other side of it so much more rabid. It just becomes, and we all sort of read to reinforce our own interpretations or our own bias or whatever. And
we're not married to any beliefs on this show.
Oh, good.
Definitely not. We're willing to change every week.
Yeah, that's right.
And we will.
In one conversation. I do it all the time. If Matt can convince me of something, I'll
by then I've deconvinced myself. So
just like
Bob's piss. It's great.
Just like a wheelbarrow go, wherever you pushed.
That's right. That's not bad. It's a nice smile for the old fella.
It's it's not great.
I don't know what the best one we've had so far is.
I've got to say, I'm going to go out on a limb and, actually last week we had this. I don't mind the Sierra Nevadas, but I'm going to say the Pabst so far. I've enjoyed that the most, just because it's been different.
Yeah, and it's the Canadian one we had yesterday.
Actually,
last week.
That was good. The lager. So I've had so many.
This is kind of like Bob's weed in it.
Because
it's warm.
Like we didn't even get them chilled.
Could be a Tooheys in a can.
Right. We should have poured it.
It is very much. Like a
it needs to go in glass at least.
Yeah.
Anyway, desperate times. Desperate measures.
He's got nice hair though on the front, at least.
He kept his hair the whole way through.
That blowaway.
What was it called? The golden budgie? The silver budgie?
Silver budgie.
Yeah.
He looked like a bloody news reporter.
Yeah.
With that hairdo.
Yeah, well, did you ever see him when...
Anchorman.
He's Ron
Did you see him with his... with his Australia when they won the boat race, that coat? Yeah. That's a used car salesman from Parramatta.
I remember watching that in New Zealand. I was at primary school and it was made news in New Zealand that Australia won the America's Cup, because that means we might be able to have a go. So, and I liked when he got caught shagging around on his wife and cried on TV and
He burst into tears at regular intervals.
He did, and it worked for him. See?
Did he?
Yeah.
Clinton followed his suit then, did he?
Yeah, Clinton cried. Did he? What did he cry for?
No, he kind of broke down a little bit.
The Monica Lewinsky thing.
Yeah, because remember he was saying, no, I did not know.
Lewinsky.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Cigar's not sex.
No, he was a guy who was straight up and down, though, I think. Like you sort of, living through that time, you could see that what he said was pretty much what he was going to do, and rightly or wrong, he
had integrity.
Were you in the mines then?
No, I was at the Steelworks then.
So Pop would have been in the mines?
Yeah.
Is that because that's when all the strikes and that were going on, wasn't it?
The strikes in mines were going on forever.
No, the big ones.
Yeah, no, they were in the 70s, so before that, yeah.
Yeah, that was Pop's era.
Yeah, that was Fraser so Hawke and that sort of cleaned up that after that episode. Fraser Howard was his treasurer. We had inflation. We had wage rises every 2 weeks. to keep up because our agreement was we were indexed to inflation, so we seemed to have a wage rise every couple of weeks, so things just kept bumping up and up. But it wasn't a really good time. But I think in the 70, 73, 72, 73, the main bonus strikes were on. They were working 1 week on, 1 week off.
Mm.
Yeah,
I remember
something like that for 2 months.
For 1 year, he didn't do 1 week, full week of work for a whole year because of strikes and stuff.
Well, they had that's what they were doing. They'd drop off. They wouldn't work a full week. They'd drop off a day or whatever. And
sounds like me.
You're on strike, but you own the business. Which is the problem.
I'm permanently on strike.
Fucking over this shit.
They had limited choices. They had limited choices.
Third generation miner, Will.
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
Yeah. Bloody hell. Coal dust in the blood.
Yeah, well, that ain't good, is it?
Well, he even worked at the pit. Dad was at.
I worked it happen. That's where my old man was. I mean, sorry, Pop.
He worked at the pit. I was at.
Well, I think I did the same job as him because he was on the tailgate and I had to shovel the tailgate once.
Oh yeah,
myself,
he was on the long wall.
Yeah,
and he ended up finishing up on the locos, out by on the locos.
Oh, that would have been better.
Yeah,
fucking shithole now.
Yeah, most of them are.
Worst pit now.
Yeah,
oh shit.
Yeah, well, he was up there when it blew up, so it was a pretty.
Oh, was he?
Yeah, he was on day shift.
And talk about shitholes, mate.
Yeah, blew up night shift.
Yeah. How many died in that? Do you remember? This might be a Google.
Yeah, I should know.
I think it was
commemoration was just on recently.
It was a whole crew.
Yeah.
It was like I'm going to guess 7, but I think it's more.
14.
14. Yeah, I was going to say that.
Yeah, and I worked with an electrical engineer who was up there at the time as well, and he drove the transporter into that area and then stepped out of the main roadway into fresh air. Yeah. When that happened,
when it blew,
it took out the roadway.
Did he do that out of luck, or he knew to do that?
No, nobody knew it was.
But was he? Yeah, so he was just walking that way. Anyway,
he just had to go into the fresh air side, and so.
That's lucky.
Yeah.
How many?
You better do an edit on this later.
At 11, 46 workers were working the 3 to 11 p.m. shift. Wow. They were in the crib room, 600 metres underground. And then it just doesn't tell me anything.
It wasn't good.
No.
Piss break.
That's right.
Clap in.
Whee! Oh, yeah. Now about the joint. Nah, there's no joint. I'm joking.
So, yeah, it was 14 people died.
You're freaking him out,
Yeah.
and he was like, oh, shit, I'm going to ask.
Yeah, I thought so, yeah. There was a commemoration just recently about it.
14.
Yeah.
It's not that many, really.
Well,
when you got
there's
guys...
still fucking 14 guys at work.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, no, it's a shit place to die. But what was Pike River?
Pike River wasn't so many, but none of them guys come out. They're still there.
Was that New Zealand? Was that the one?
Yeah, New Zealand. Yeah.
Wasn't it one guy who come out?
Yeah.
He stood on the side of the road for ages.
Yeah, he walked out. Yeah.
I was a fucking mess over there.
Yeah.
There's some guy took his son in for the first day of work.
That was it. That was that place.
We sound like the Australian government then, but we're not as bad as Zimbabwe. They don't even have shoes over there.
They don't. Come on, mate. Let me tell you.
It's all relative.
Yeah.
It's fucked.
Yeah, the thing is, they in hindsight they all look atrocious, but we just keep doing that sort of stuff, and there's it's all about risk and reward. The risk is there and the reward's there, and that's how work health safety works out. That's how speeding works.
Do you know what it reminds me of? South Park used to have this part. They were talking about going to Iraq, I think it was, and they're going, "This is how we do it. We support the war, but we also say we're against the war. So we still go over there, but we protest it at the same time." And that's what it feels like at work. It's like, he's got to slow down, but your meters are 25 this week. You know, like, he's got to slow down and do things safely, but hurry up and get it out, get the coal out.
Same with a lot of things. It's contradictory.
It is,
like, It's like boxing, you want to make it as safe as possible. I'm teaching the boys, think conclusion, like, make sure you're defending all the time after you attack. Or first and foremost, don't get hit. But then I'm pushing on them the mentality of when we got to fucking go. Like,
kill him!
Punch
him in the dick!
You do what you got to do. And as a fighter, like, I'd be willing to put it all on the line to try and win. But even, like, but I'm sitting here in my head going, nah, but fuck it, it's only a sport. But at certain times, it's everything.
But it is,
in the moment.
It is like most sports, so it's all about percentages. You know, so it doesn't matter what you're doing. Baseball sort of is a game built on percentages. It's always about that. You know, most all sports are, but you can see that. You know, you get into a count against the pitcher, and the percentage is that he's going to throw you a strike, or he's, you know, and then you work out your angles from that, and you're talking the same thing. It's all about percentages. It's and when that's the sort of the hardest part, teaching kids that, you know, that you. It's not all about running around and all the rest of it. It's about the percentages. It's about, you know, what's going to happen here. The percentages, or the chances are it's going to happen this way, and then you know, and the good players trend that way. You know, you can see it. You know, you can see, like even cricket. You see, Mark Waugh was great at it. You know, for some reason he could see that the ball was bowled in a certain place, and the batter was going to hit it. And he was going to bend that way, and he would be sort of, you know, and that great Cardinal shortstop was the same. You know, he was
Ozzie Smith.
Same thing. He had this innate ability to be where the ball was hit. You know, and I reckon it was percentages. You know, he could see that the pitcher was outside, and the percentages were that it was probably going to be hit to left field, sort of thing. So
they do that in shootouts, I guess, too, like penalty shootout soccer. The goalkeeper, you're like, how the fuck did he save that? I couldn't even see it. Because he was going, he thought,
you're just going
And a lot of the time you see him dive and the ball just goes straight. Or,
you got
it's no different.
It's like a guess.
Like making shots miss half the time. Like, you're just in movement already. And then, boom. Like, they might fire a shot because, number one, it makes it harder to hit the target when the target's moving because it creates hesitation. You're not going to throw as willingly as you would to a stationary target. So there's that split second of hesitation plus that little bit of momentum helps you read that little bit quicker and make something pass and look that much more impressive, when half the time it's just because
you like Canelo, when you see him doing it, you're like,
brilliant.
Oh my God, he must be like a machine.
But you can't actually see everything.
And you can't teach it either. No, it's got to be some sort of...
It's reaction as well, though.
Well, some people, we call it having an eye. You wouldn't in many sports. It's just some people got the eye. Like Tim Tszyu has his eye. Or he has presence, and like, he just makes shots miss, pulls distance and counters. Like, he's a good example for Australian boxing.
That demonstrates
Timmy.
That demonstrates the physical attributes you've got to have to be better than the rest. And you can be the same, built the same, but you have a physical ability of what your eye moves further one way than the other guy. Or I remember reading when we were trying to get your baton sorted out a long time ago, and they put a camera on a peak cap and fired a fastball, and the guys regularly hit this fastball, and they worked out that his eye movement was that quick he could move his eye to where the ball was going to be. So 3 or 4 times his eye was where the ball was going to be, so he could see the ball, see the rotation, clearly, see where it was going. And it was just something you can't teach that. It's just that's just And they say the same about rugby union players or league players. You know, for some reason they've got this wider vision. They end up on the field in a place that you know, who knows why that happened, but you know they've seen something. And I suppose a piano player with big hands, he's got another 2 notes, you know, or a guitarist that's...
and also you get some gifts. Is there intuition involved in there?
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, for sure.
I think gifts do help, obviously, but there's people that will work, they'll create a different way to play it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they don't have those big hands, just say for guitar, for instance, so they'll tap to add that extra note. Or they'll get quicker. They'll find a little something to make it faster for themselves.
It's like a Sam Solomon of boxing, like, has not, like, looking at him from a physical standpoint, besides his condition, which just comes down to will. Like, he has nothing, like, he doesn't have... extraordinary power or speed or timing or anything like that, but he was just successful based
Super
on this
awkward.
unique way to do things. Like it was so out of the box, and he developed that style that he had so much success with it, and for so long.
And then there's the timing thing. I don't know what I had the same experience straight off. I started to learn to play trumpet. Went to a guy who played Dixieland jazz, and he seemed to be able to have longer in his 4 notes or bar or whatever he needed than I had. He could put more into it without tripping over and running out of time. You know, it was a really strange thing, and just something. You know, and you hear good players do that. They've got time to stick stuff in, and when you try and replicate that, you just can't. It just doesn't work. And it's just time. It's just bizarre. You know, it's like bloody clock stops and you know, they can start to do stuff, and you're in real time still. It's freaking frustrating, actually.
What do they call that? In the zone. But there's a Japanese flow state.
Felt that a couple times, I reckon.
Yeah,
not often.
In the ring or
different times.
Yeah. In fights.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of them?
Well, definitely.
Ren Quinlan?
No, that was just fucking
Grit.
destroy. That was fun. But that was
I
just
would
down
link
to
that
grit.
fight, but,
Oh man, I'm so disappointed that we
Yeah.
don't have it.
No one filmed.
It's my greatest night.
Best fight.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. Our greatest achievements always go unrecognised.
Yeah, but that's okay because they say probably.
Yeah, that's right. The better.
Yeah,
You got the best view.
Yeah. I could hear things, see things. That was a good night. But so was fighting Sammy. That was cool.
Yeah, that was hard to watch.
It was a blowout, like frustratingly awesome to stand across from someone.
Yeah, it would be.
It's surreal. I was 16 watching him.
Yeah,
15 watching Sam Solomon on the American Contender, and then just following him up throughout, and then all these years later standing across from him when he's an old man, like 45 or something.
Old man.
But he was like a God. He was in good shape for that.
He
one.
looked good.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was cool.
Memories.
Somebody wrote a song about it.
So what were you going to ask?
Well, today, so we think a lot about, like, there's heaps of self-help shit around, obviously. But I find myself always, like, I guess people always have pondered their minds, and hence their interest in hallucinogenics and the art of meditation and different shit. But, like, in your day, like, was there as much, obvious? I don't think there was, but I wanted to get your view on it, whether the awareness is there, like whether people actually ever thought about, like, an ego and what it meant and their identity and who they were, whether they went to those depths of complicating who we are, like, in, you know what I mean, like, as a person as much, or whether it was just more the straightforward, like I'm Mark, I'm a boxer, I work hard and I got a family and that's it. Whereas now, these days, I'm like, like I'm trying to break apart my ego and work out what's actually real and what's just this false sense of, like, competitiveness or like need for I don't know, fulfillment or acceptance or something from some deep-seated childhood thing. It's like, you know what I'm trying to say? That's a shit way of putting it, but yeah, like I said, my mind's fucking. You know, who am I, and who's like this idea of who I think I should be, or who I am.
Thinking about it more, you know, than just being.
Yeah.
You know.
Is that like a thing?
No, well, I suppose it's all of your circumstance. You know, when we were kids, we were all sort of from the same working class back then, when working class was something, and pretty much everybody just got on and did what they could, and the others fell by the way. You know, I got 5 brothers, and we're all obviously different in lots of ways, but we never really had any major issues because it was all about just getting on and just doing what you could, and then you went off and you did your stuff, and once again, it was the same thing. You know, work played a lot into that. You put a lot of time into work, and we all worked in heavy industry, or most of us worked in heavy industry at one time or another. So I think the reflective stuff comes later on, and you get into that situation where you can get reflective because some of the other pressures get off your back. Yeah.
So maybe it's like a privilege that we have today because we have that little bit more space to.
Well, you don't. It's hard to say because some people that's not a privilege. It's a burden. Some people are quite happy to be ignorantly blissful or blissfully ignorant.
Yeah, definitely.
It is. And they say a life unreflected is a life not lived. But if you don't reflect, then you don't really know, do you? So it's. But I still think you certainly are better off reflecting on where you are, because that's where I think the other thing with kids is that you might not even demonstrate or even vocalise what you're saying, but they'll soak that stuff up like a sponge. Like you'll have that impact just by the way you talk and how you react and things like that. So you don't even need to create a little classroom where you're demonstrating this is my philosophy and I think this and this and this.
Just they'll
soak that up and there's some place to fall back on when they get into a bit of a jam as well. So but no, we didn't read extensively into that stuff. I had a fair bit to do with like the Salvation Army when I was younger. So it was a closed thinking. A lot of ways in that way,
due to more religion, or
just a conservative, just a conservative outlook on things. I think more than anything, the faith part of it was you had that in your own self. Nobody really would know that you were that way unless you vocalised it all the time. But even that wasn't cool either. Except for if you had to get up in front of the people and tell them all about it. But otherwise, it was a fairly conservative outlook on things, and so that was how we sort of existed in that conservative outlook.
Yeah, it's interesting today because it almost seems like obviously the people are more open and aware of like mental health shit, and but it's almost like it's used like. In a form of like, it's almost like sometimes it's creating a struggle when there is no struggle to be had.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like people
overthinking things.
Stuff.
Yeah, I think families too exist on a fair amount of silence. Families don't need to be bringing out all these little intricacies. You can walk away from something quite easily in a family. Yeah. You don't need to make that the flame of World War III either. Yeah. You don't need to make your absolute position known to everybody and woe behold them if they hold another opinion either. Yeah. So if you can get into that situation, at least you've given people a capacity to see there is another path, and we don't need to be having a battle over stuff. Yeah,
and it's okay to hold different viewpoints and still like, I'm sure we all have different viewpoints on some things, but we could still fucking sit here and get along. But it's just it's funny today. It definitely seems like everyone's you got a battle for that position of who's right and whose viewpoint's right.
We're going back to that political sort of environment that we've spoke about. Was we've got entrenched positions now pretty much, and that's where we're going to stay, and that seems to have morphed over into other areas for sure. And sadly that area, your entrenched position is good pickings for somebody who's a little bit nefarious, a little bit nasty, a little bit manipulative. You've got a position, they're gonna rape and pillage. Yeah, and damn the consequences.
Yeah, and you've got to be able to move your position in that as well, isn't
it? Oh, for sure, yeah.
You've got to be like water.
Yeah. That's right.
So
who said that?
Bruce Lee.
No, there's another one. When I see when I see a position change or something, I'll change mine or something like that. Or so it's
Because by thinking you're right, I don't think I'm right about anything. I've got some suspicions.
It's a dangerous.
I might be right, but there's no way I think
it's a dangerous place to be.
Yeah.
And the other problem is it's exhausting trying to keep the battles up. Yeah,
absolutely. And once you know something, once you know you're right about something, you stop thinking about it. Yeah. Because I don't have to think about it. I'm right.
Yeah.
And so
why do we
some people
care
out there
so
don't think
much
about
about it?
all. Yeah, that's why I stopped arguing on Facebook and shit like
Yeah.
that. That's just not.
They care too much about being right.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you get out of that?
Yeah, it's I don't know.
I got into an argument years ago because I commented about a guitarist. It was, you know how like Pantera fell apart. Like two of the members are dead, and I said, well, Zakk Wylde could play that part, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then I just got bombarded with all these idiots about.
But Zakk Wylde did play that part. He toured with Pantera, didn't he? You were right.
Well, this is years ago. Before, they were only talking about it.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was like 40 comments, and I just wasn't even reading them anymore. Just people going off.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't really. I'm like that with my Electric Universe shit, and I get onto some physics website, and I just say a little comment. And that's what people, the whole belief thing, they're so beholden to their beliefs, you know? Like, holy shit.
Yeah.
It's, but I think it's kind of funny. Sometimes I do just
troll.
dig them a little bit.
Well, I suppose the easiest thing to say about that is if why, then why not, you know? And if you can keep that in your head. If you think why, then why not? You know, there's another. There might be another thing. So
but people just get so
they get married to it because I think because a lot of the time people's identities are
wrapped up
in their belief system, which is wrong because like what you believe is not who you are.
No,
and also the idea of these dialogues, like, I like going into them maybe with a different idea of trying to make it funny or like I remember the last actual proper job interview I went for was up at Sturt, and I didn't really want the job. We needed the money, but you know, I knew I could do the job. I didn't really want it, so I thought, fuck, in my interview, I'm gonna sing the whole Young Hearts, Your Life Be Free, you know,
Break Free.
Yeah, you know, the old disco song. Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna fucking do that, see if I can get the job. And I went in there, and the guy, it was like 10 o'clock or something. I think you might have dropped me off to the interview anyway. He wasn't ready for me, and I'm like, fuck this, and I just left.
Yeah.
You know, because
he was going to get a song.
He was going to get a song, but then he calls me up 5 minutes later and says, "Oh, sorry," you know. And it turns out he was a very gay man, and he fucking loved it. And
wow!
And I was just, and I managed to get the whole lyric out in conversation. You know, so it didn't sound like out of place.
Yeah,
you know, it was quite, and I fucking got the job easy. And I think those things like that make life a little bit more interesting. Like coming at things just from a different angle.
Fuck do you think it's to do that?
It reminded me of Step Brothers.
Yeah. But it's a good thing to do. Your life gets a bit more interesting if you do. Yeah.
Pan. Can call it a pan.
But don't forget though that those people who are arguing those positions are arguing them in their own space. Like they're not interacting, not looking. It's just in their own space.
Yeah.
Like there's no feedback. There's nobody getting angry over the other side of the table. There's no, you know, or somebody else being crushed by their argument.
Yeah.
You can say some horrendous things in the dark.
Yeah,
you know,
can,
really.
Yeah.
You can say what you like, and there might be a bit of that. You know, in the cold light of day, I think there's plenty of video and of people. There's one guy. He was talking about the medical or lack of medical assistance in America. His wife died of a brain tumour. They didn't have insurance. Blah blah blah. And he wanted to make it a universal
healthcare, like Medicare.
Yeah, Medicare. Yeah. And he had a guy in the front seat sort of, you know, absolutely dead against it, roaring and screaming and everything. Yeah. And then he spoke to him later on, and you know, this guy didn't really have a position. He explained, "Oh, my wife died in a brain cancer. If we had a proper medical system, we could have probably, you know, she would have lived or whatever."
The house and everything.
Yeah. And this guy, he was just there to defend his position. He didn't have anything to fall back on as to why. Yeah,
they
so
just argue for the sake of arguing.
We've talked about that before. It's like it's not about, they don't actually think about the position. It's just that's their position.
And then
my belief, and that's the way it is.
Yeah. And there's one that's probably the worst example is an older guy saying about Trump and his pussy grabbing, and he's saying no, he didn't mean about women, and he's saying this on TV. He didn't mean this about women, radio, whatever it was, but it was vocalised. He was talking about other countries. We're just going to grab them other countries by the pussy, and we're going to sort them out. Now, if you can get that from that, you're really stretching it. But he was dead set. He was up and down about it. That was it. And I thought, frig me, how do you come to that?
What's that? Cognitive dissonance, isn't it? When someone gives you an argument that's really good, but it doesn't fit with your reality tunnel. They just won't hear the argument, or they won't see. They were doing experiments in the 70s with it, where they'd get say there's a lecture hall full of uni kids and lecture up there, and they'd get two people to run in, and one of them would pretend to stab the bloody the lecturer. There's a black person and a white person. The black person wouldn't do anything; they would just stand there, and the other person would actually pull out a banana and chuck it at them. Wouldn't even try and stab it at them. And 90% sort of black guy stabbed the lecturer when they come out and do the interviews with everyone. Because seeing isn't believing. Believing is seeing. You believe something, and you will fit your reality tunnel into that. So everything from that angle, you can make any argument on anything, really, whether it's, the reality or not, doesn't matter. But you can argue any point. You can't believe your eyes all the time. No, you shouldn't really at all.
Shitty memories that we have. Yeah.
Speaking of eyes, I was thinking about this doco I saw years ago, and it was kind of about brain training, I suppose. It was this kid, and he was born with no eyes. His mum was poor, and he was like African American and stuff, so he was going to be over there. It's like double whammy, And she refused to let him know he was blind. Like she'd just go out there and play on the street or whatever like that, just do it. And he'd fall over, bang his head, crying on that. And she just wouldn't give him any.
Like it's normal,
wouldn't give him any sympathy. And she's, in the interview years later, she said it was really hard, but I knew he was going to have a hard life, and we couldn't have that. I don't have the money to support it. He needs to stand up. Yeah. And the kid, he invented a clicking technique so he could see where he was, like a fucking bat. And
sonar thing.
Sonar, man. And this kid, he's on rollerblades, and he's rollerblading all these between his parked cars, man, like this. Well, Haley hears me do it in the middle of the night when I'm going to the toilet. He's works.
Everywhere but in the bowl.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Where's that fucking gurney?
And it fucking worked, man. And the scientists dealt with it. He was 18. They got fake eyes put in, and most of the kids at the high school didn't know he was blind.
Wow.
And but they were trying to get him to use a stick every now and then because the clicking doesn't work when there's a hole. So if you're walking past a creek or a concrete creek, you don't get the bounce back. You don't know it's there. But fucking done it right, and it's incredible what the brain can do. What the mind can do. So try it next time.
That's insane.
Click.
Yeah, I won't try on that shit.
Nah.
Yeah.
Like that. Can't walk with eyes.
No. So what were we talking about? There was that eyes.
How the fuck did we get onto that?
I don't know.
It's a long way around.
Yeah, it's a long way around.
It's like going on YouTube.
So
you start off on one thing and then you're on.
Yeah, or belief, I suppose. He didn't believe he was blind. And well, I suppose if you're born blind, you don't know you're blind.
No, how would you?
Yeah,
that's right. You don't know what blind is.
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't know.
No. I wonder what other senses we're missing.
Well, it's like poor. You don't know you're poor until you see everyone else around you.
Yeah.
Although that fucking little rumble in the belly would probably give it away.
Yeah. A good place to start. Yeah. What's wrong with my belly? What's going on here? Haven't felt that in a while. I got to get that rumble. It's good for you.
Now you're alive.
You're alive. Intermittent fasting, man.
Fasting, Willie fast.
Do some fasting.
How's it going, mate? Oh,
no, I haven't
thought you were back on it.
Nah, I keep saying I'm going to, and then I'll do it for a day or so. But
freaking a day, blame an hour.
Well, it's hard when you live with this idiot and he's buying good bloody
not
food
me.
all the time.
I'm only driving the truck.
Yeah.
No,
do you know the science behind it?
About doing...
Yeah,
a little bit. I did.
Give a bro science spiel on it.
Yeah.
No, I can't.
Cellular regeneration.
No, I don't know. I did. When I first, say 2 years ago when I was right into it, I actually did research on it.
Yeah, right.
But now, it's just...
You just do it to get skinny and look
pushed
good.
it out and...
I've thought about it, but I just what's the point?
I remember though...
It's here now. The belly's here now. It's staying.
Yeah, what's the point?
I don't care anymore. Yeah. Things are healthy. I give up this for 3 days this week. And what's amazing is the pain, man, that's gone away in my body. We were speaking about it earlier, but it's ridiculous. It must just fuck you up.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's beer in particular. I don't know if yeast has it. I'm sure it does because it's a raising agent, right? So, but the difference is phenomenal. I was only having maybe 4 to 6 beers a night, which sounds like a bit now. Yeah. But for a few months, maybe a month or two.
Every night?
Every night, yeah. Maybe on the weekends I was having 10 or 8. But, I've never drunk. So I sound like a fucking alcoholic.
That's an overload.
It is, but I haven't, I was an athlete for 16, 17 years, so I never really... It's very intermittent, my drinking phases. But yeah, my joints, man, they're so much better within 3 days. Yeah. It's just some people must be living in some pain, like just from their diet.
Yeah, they wouldn't. Well, speaking of diets, I'm gonna plan to do that carnivore one. Just for a month.
Just to give it a test.
Just to see.
Would that be really bad for you?
I don't know.
There's a lot of... I don't know.
It's kind of like there's so much... conflicting. That's what I'm looking for. Conflicting evidence.
Just evolutionary wise, we never were an animal that ate
not
fully meat. We're not.
That's why I don't
our
think
our teeth are really shit, and our intestine is really long.
I heard a good version of why our canines have retracted so much. Yeah, and I don't know if you've heard of that Kermit Pedersen bloke that was on. He's a journalist that wrote about they found another fossil. You know that Lucy. They found one that's I think older than her. That's bigger, and anyway, it doesn't matter. He was saying that a theory out there is, you know how apes have got huge teeth? They're huge, aggressive. He goes, well, he thinks they found monogamy, and that retracted the canines didn't need to be so large and fierce for fighting, and we shrank in size because we
didn't have to find a mate all the time.
Yeah, you're not like
defending
fighting to get a woman.
I think it's the opposite. Yeah. I think that they found orgies. And so it was actually pluralistic sex. So everyone was fucking everyone, and no one knew whose kid was who. Because if you get like lots of sperm in a petri dish, they'll fight each other. Now, why does sperm fucking know how to fight each other if they were never in a position to do it? They're genetically programmed to fight off other sperm, so only stronger sperm wins. So there must have been a genetic time for a long time where there's lots of sperm around an egg. So I think, and if we're in a matriarchal society where women like the bonobos, where it's bonobos, man, but like you got chimpanzees and bonobos. Chimpanzees full of rape and murder and shit like that. Across the river, there's bonobos, and it's female led, and they just fuck all the time. And if and the chicks, like, they're sex addicts, these fucking monkeys, man. So maybe we were more like bonobos originally.
Yeah, well, it all makes sense.
But,
but I think with the carnivore, the diet thing, I think it's just focusing on one food. You're cutting out a lot of other shit. Yeah. I think that's all it is.
It's processed
I don't think there's like a benefit to just eating meat. No. I think it's just because you're not eating...
You're limiting the intake.
It goes to the old style of just balanced diet. Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, nothing in excess.
Yeah, that's pretty excessive. A whole month of meat. You're going to stink.
Oh,
what type of meat? Like fatty?
I don't know.
They talk about like frying fat cubes up and shit for snacks.
Jerky. Are you going to go and catch this stuff?
They're all right.
Catch it.
Whatever you're going to do. What are you going to?
I don't know.
You'll have to do the shopping.
How you do it.
Zero research.
Yeah.
So this is early days.
If we do it, we should research it and go hunting with Sky's dad and kill the meat ourselves and then fucking live off that. That'd be the way to do it, probably.
And how would you? So you're going to take your weight and how you like the beer? If you're going to do it, you might as well try and scientifically do it.
You'd have to get a blood test.
We should do it.
We could do it properly. We can make that part of the show.
Well, if you do that, I'll go vegan for a month.
Ooh.
And then
gay.
Grow
a vagina.
Never know.
Willie's had enough of vegans.
I'm wild to hear these vegans. And we could
so you might go a bit
check out the bloods and see who can.
Well, I'll do the third control group and do nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, hang on. Like, what are we going to like?
Not over Christmas.
Because you're going to be training as well.
Me?
Yeah.
What's he training for?
But I don't fucking train anymore. I'm telling you.
No, I'm giving that shit up. If we're all on the same...
As a measure.
That'll be the best way to...
Well, no, we'll have to get base level tests. And then whoever improves from the base level test. So we're going to have to go to the doctors together. Yeah. We'll all cough at the same time and see whose balls come back feeling better.
Yeah. I think it's easier to go carnivore than vegan. At least you can go and get a decent steak and shit. Like it's hard to eat vegan. The food sucks.
I think carnivore would be hard.
There's a lot of like at least you can get variation. There's going to be no variation.
I kind of really like steak.
I do love steak, especially good.
And you can get slow cooked brisket. You're allowed to put flavour on it. Hey, you're allowed to put some moistened sauce and shit. It's not just boiled.
I might have to have a month off work. Yeah. That's going to be the hardest thing.
Oh, you've done that this month almost, haven't you?
Nah, 3 weeks.
Why is it work?
I want to. Don't you worry, I want to.
Oh, shit.
Okay, well, maybe we'll set that.
Let's set that for January
sometime.
Yeah, we can do that after Christmas.
We can't do it
Let's
now.
do it. We'll do it in the month of January.
No.
Yeah, because you can't drink.
No, can't do anything.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
Well, I reckon if you could plant
whiskey.
medicines, it'd be okay.
I can drink some beer. Beer's vegan, isn't it? Or yeast? They eat yeast. The vegans? They don't eat honey.
They eat chocolate and garbage. Stupid. Don't worry. You eat bloody rice.
Yeah, I've seen them eating margarine and that. Well, that's just gross.
Yeah.
Man. You know?
There's fucking. I remember seeing words on the packet and I couldn't pronounce it or never heard of it.
Yeah.
So how is that good for you?
Yeah.
Well, it's not necessarily good for you.
It's not.
It depends why they're doing it. Like there are healthy ways to do it, and then there's this lazy way to do it.
Well, the lazy way is the way I've experienced other people doing it.
Unhealthy that way.
I should be right. I think. I'd actually. I could go vegetarian pretty easily. I think if it was.
Yeah.
When you're cooking for the kids and the missus, like you can't. Kids eat snitch and shit. So I'm just not going to make myself a meal just for me.
But you can just get like veggie alternative meat and shit now. There's so much.
You can. That's kind of cheating, I think.
I would say it is.
Bacon. I remember we cooked up these vegan sausages once, and the vegan didn't want to eat them. Flicked them to the dog, and the dog didn't eat them either.
Well,
so what's this shit? So
yeah.
Oh, anyway, there we go.
We'll
That's happening in January.
We'll see.
It's 2021.
2021, kick it off with a bang.
Shit way to start another year.
Yeah.
What are you going to do, Dad? You going to just keep ruining your body as you are?
I've put a lot of time and effort into this. Why would I ruin the experiment?
Mate, he doesn't look bad. How old are you?
That's right.
70, 80?
He's 45.
Yeah.
Third generation, second years.
He's second.
Willie's 18.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Started when I was 5. She's like in China.
Get the vacuum happening. I was watching some Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh, how good was his vacuum?
Yeah, man. Woo. All these bubble gut guys. I knew nothing about it.
Well, you know what the bubble gut's from?
Is it steroids?
Yeah.
There's a growth hormone.
Yeah, Dorian Yates talks about it heaps. Yeah.
Have you seen Rogan's bubble gut?
Yeah, he's got.
He does have it.
So why?
He's got the beginning.
Yeah, because he doesn't his legs don't look really proportionate with his torso. I don't reckon.
He's quite a short fella, eh?
It's from overuse, apparently.
Okay. Does he talk about it?
No, he says he takes test.
Yeah.
I've heard him talk about test, but I've never heard him talk
HGH.
about growth.
That's
right. I have heard of people saying that in Hollywood, it's like growth is 90% of.
Well, that's what Sylvester Stallone got done for when he tried to come to Australia. But he's almost 80, so fucking go for it.
Oh, man, he looks crazy for that age.
He does, compared to... Did you see a photo of him versus Dolph Lundgren? Who was his opponent of Rocky?
Yeah.
Dolph looks fucked, man.
He looks like he's been down the pub for too long.
Yeah, and he's been out in the sun too long, man.
He had that second resurgence in Creed too, so...
Yeah.
He didn't look
I haven't
that bad
seen
then.
that yet. I've seen the montage.
Yeah, the montage.
The montage was great.
I don't know, the movie, I don't know. I think I just liked it because it was boxing. It wasn't, they weren't that good.
Did I ask you about this last week, about bloody Sylvester, what you thought about Sylvester Stallone being inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
What? Yeah, man, they inducted him into along with Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali, and fucking Rocky.
You got Mickey Ward Gaddy in there for those wars.
Well,
But you know what is contribute? But you get referees and promoters inducted.
That's not right, though.
It's bullshit. But
can we get inducted?
You can now.
You got like a fat guy that comes to training for a couple months. Yeah.
I know a boxer. Can I get in?
I did some boxing movies.
Rocky inspired so many champions to start boxing, and you know what? He probably lifted the profile of boxing. Like, most people don't know about boxing, but they'll either know Muhammad Ali or Rocky.
Yeah.
Like, they know that. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, no, I, from that point of view, I understand.
Yeah, it inspired, like, so many people. I've got to say, like, even when I started, I was just Rocky mad.
Yeah.
If I used to train, like, what I saw on Rocky. So it was like it was a gateway to so many boxers' careers. So I think it's a really good thing.
Reason.
I don't think it's a bit nuts though that his statue of Rocky is in Philadelphia. Like,
is it still there?
Yeah,
it might be.
Yeah, because Bill Burr's got this whole bit on it. Just going like, you've got all these great boxers that come out of this.
And you got a movie star.
You got a guy that's not a boxer.
Yeah, like Joe Frazier. Does he have a fucking statue there?
No. You'll have probably a philosopher or somebody from that or a scientist or whatever that doesn't get recognised. But that's what our culture is. It's built on that stuff.
Stars.
Movie stars.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are coming out
and
saying don't vote for Trump. I'm just say Jennifer Aniston. Don't vote for Trump. You're going to ruin the country. Like, what the fuck would you know? Played a chick in a TV show.
Yeah, but Michelle Obama came out and said, "Oh, fucking Trump should." Well, I don't give a fuck what she said actually, but the fact that she was on Australian news, who gives a fuck? She sucks the ex-president's dick.
Like
she fucking has
from the opposite party.
It doesn't matter. She's married to someone that did something. Who the fuck is she or anyone?
But there's no context in it, and that's why you can't. The worst thing you could do, I think, is take it seriously. Any of it. And it's a shame because it is really serious. But you can't put it into a serious or can't put a serious thought to it. It really makes no sense. Really.
That's like the fucking pay-per-view boxing in this country when it's on is run and hosted by Eddie Maguire.
Yeah.
You're kidding, is it?
Fuck. Oh, every time I turn it on, I just want to just...
Didn't he do the swimming once as well?
Who knows? He's just like, what did he just buy a share to commentate on everything? It's like, he is DuPont. But you got like, it does the sport no justice. Like,
nah. Well, it's like the boxing one. Surely they should actually, they got Boxing Hall of Fame. Maybe they should actually put Fighting Hall of Fame. So just for people that actually been in the ring.
Make it the guys that actually put their fucking lives
on put their heads on the bloody line.
The ones that have died and, given up so much of themselves to be there.
I wonder if the Music Hall of Fame, rock and roll's like that, where they put managers in.
Yeah, probably.
Do they?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. But... You probably have guys like Phil Spector and celebrities in their own name, even though they're probably not a lot playing the stuff. But
Kylie Minogue.
Yeah.
Nice
but no good having a serious think about it because it's all of those Hall of Fame things aren't. All they are is for people to just to generate some income and and they'll sell a few more cards and a bit more paraphernalia. That's all it is. No, it's not serious.
Parker of Blink-182, best drummer.
Oh,
fuck off.
Yeah, you can't get into them. You can't get into them. That's
there's guys sitting in their basements playing way more complicated shit than him.
Well, a classic for me, I was listening, I've made this 80s English playlist up, and, Vinny Little Kid, he likes bopping around in the back of that, and I put Milli Vanilli on that, Girl, It's True, and the kids love that song, and that's a classic. It shows the music industry for what it was. Milli Vanilli, if you don't know about them, they had all these number one hits and they didn't sing their songs. They were two good-looking guys, long hair. And they got... Now Milli Vanilli is a word. It's like Catch-22. Milli Vanilli means you're bullshit. But the thing is, everyone loved the song and they won the Grammys for the best music, not for the best-looking guys. And they interviewed the guys that actually wrote the song and sung them. They were two fat... black dudes from Amsterdam. They said, look, we would never have gotten famous. We had to hire these guys and all that, and they put it out under themselves, and no one gave a fuck because they were fat and black. So they were absolutely correct, and it showed the music industry is full of fucking shit. It's never about the music.
No.
And Milli Vanilli just showed them for what arseholes they are.
Jamie Foxx. His real name's not Jamie Foxx.
Isn't it?
No, he changed his name because he couldn't get gigs as a comedian.
Yeah.
And Jamie Foxx is a chick's name.
Is that right?
Yeah, and they were going through a time where they were promoting a lot of women.
Yeah.
So, Jamie Foxx. Wow. Here comes this black
guy.
guy.
They didn't even look.
It's funny ass.
Yeah. Talented motherfucker, that guy.
He can do a lot,
I'm wondering when that Tyson movie's coming. It's been coming for years.
Yeah, they keep talking about it. But
I've only ever seen that little... where he's talking about being Tyson training a kid and like at the start.
I think the movie must be
done. That's
done,
the only
man.
snippet I've seen of him talking about it, and that was like 3 years ago. Maybe.
He was on the Oprah Winfrey show back
Yeah,
in
I
the
saw
day.
some. Yeah, maybe I saw it. Maybe on Ellen talking about it or some shit.
Yeah.
And why the fuck I was watching Ellen, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's a
weird.
worry, isn't it? But she's on the nose now. She did something
Yeah.
wrong. I don't know.
She was being a bitch.
Was she? Oh my god!
Something like that.
Supposedly her production crew. Yeah, and there was some.
She was mean. That
angst,
was it.
yeah, and there was some angst there, and and then she promised to clean it up. And,
meanwhile, we bombed here, and
Don't worry about it. Ellen's a bitch.
Yemen, million kids
mean.
dead.
Well, maybe a few people didn't get their TV or whatever. She promised like Oprah used to give away cars. And
I
wonder how they're going to do that Jamie Foxx thing like with Tyson. Are they going to CGI him or are they going to?
No, I think he bulked up or something for it, didn't he?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I hope they get it out before this fight. They're not going to, but I hope they don't put the fight in the movie. Because it should have left him on a fucking horse with a huge joint out of his mouth having a good time. That would have been the...
Doing the hangover.
Yes. But now he's gone back.
Man, that's only... that'll be next week, maybe.
Yes.
29th
28th.
November.
Yeah, it's 29th or 28th?
Oh, it could be either.
It's your wedding anniversary.
I'm hoping it's not the wedding anniversary. Yes.
It's on tape now.
Haley loves boxing though, so it's all right.
Good luck with that.
Yes. No, I don't know what I'm going to do.
It's
the
pay-per-view.
chair is about to go.
Screws falling out of the chair as we speak.
I got this new chair from
Start a crowd fund.
Yeah,
new chairs. Studio
chairs.
Yeah. Matt, the nose. We didn't even talk about it. It's recovered it and it's looking fucking straight, man.
Straight nose, isn't it?
Straight.
Yeah.
Nice one.
The pain was worth it.
Yeah, it was. Well, you forget the pain. We talked about that last week. I got
sleeping.
Sleeping's a lot better. I still got to sleep on my back for the next couple of weeks, and there's still stitches now all up on the inside, so it's still a bit swollen. But I can kind of breathe, man. And when they took the stitches out, and their whole nose is just full of blood, And so she's just ripping them out, and I was like, and sometimes you do it really slow because she's an Irish bitch, and she's really like inflicting pain, like this. Oh man, it was
horrendous.
Pretty horrendous, man. But and they got these huge tubes, but they're not just tubes. They're tubes with like a moon thing on them, attachment, and they pull them out by twisting them, and it just rips all the blood and shit like that. She goes, deep breath. Oh my god! But when they were both out, it was the first time ever, I think, that I've been able to breathe properly through both nostrils. It was fucking awesome. I was buzzing, man, from the amount of oxygen getting into my head. And then it seized up in that, but it'll come back. So
I remember when I hit the reef and split my nose apart, it was just, caked with blood.
Oh,
it was fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fun.
Was it broken and stuff?
No, but I think it's been broken.
Yeah.
It's not the best. But...
That's why. Well, go see my guy, man. He'll sort you out.
Nah, I can breathe fine.
No, that's all you need to worry about.
Yeah, fuck the looks. Who cares? I'm old.
Why the fuck did you look at me then?
Get away with it anyway.
Mark's changed a bit in the last 2 years.
A little bit.
Into a totally different person.
Fucking hell.
He used to look like Dolph Lundgren from Rocky days.
I did.
Not long ago.
Well, He-Man.
Yeah,
he was too.
He was He-Man.
He had Mark had the sharp cut.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I was a good-looking kid once.
Yeah.
Wasn't that long ago either.
Went downhill real quick.
Fucking Sam Solomon.
Yeah, it was before then. Rocky. Oh, shit. All right.
Rightio.
Wrap it up.
Another good week. Bit more education this week, guys.
Yeah.
Next week we got a guest on 100%.
We had a guest.
We did. Sorry.
Thanks for the mailman for being the
Guest.
guest.
Yeah,
I had a choice, did I?
It just feels like a bloody part of the
Yeah,
we'll probably get you on.
Yeah.
We'll get him on for news bulletins.
Yeah.
Anything political.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Catch you next week.